those 5 counts of murder in the first degree, how do you plead?
A guilty plea on murder charges.
I intentionally and after deliberation caused the death of each victims listed in those counts.
And sentenced to thousands of years in prison.
Today marks an important step in the recovery journey for the victims and family members.
The Club Q suspect avoids a trial.
He was so not acting remorseful. And he's a coward for not even speaking up.
This plea also means that there are no potentials for appeal. It means that these victims don't get drugged through the judicial process years down the road.
And admits to killing 5 people and injuring 17 others in the November shooting.
He knew what he was about to do was wrong, and that he was willing to kill as many people as possible.
We're live in Colorado Springs with team coverage of today's court proceedings as the community continues to heal and remember the victims.
It does help to have the Club Q family around, but every day is just a recovery.
We remember the victims of Club Q, and we remember our friends.
It has been more than 6 months since the shooter opened fire at the Club Q nightclub in Colorado Springs. 5 people were killed, 17 others were hurt, and now that shooter will spend the rest of their life in prison after pleading guilty in court today. Thanks so much for joining us for Denver 7 News at 5. I'm Ann Trujillo, and we have team coverage for you today. We want to start with Denver 7 Jessica Porter, who is live outside Club Q. And Jess, I can imagine it has been a highly emotional day in Colorado Springs.
And we've been here outside Club Q all afternoon, where a memorial with flowers and stuffed animals remembers the victims. It's been eerily quiet all day here, a difficult place for friends and family of the victims to come back to. This is where the shooter, Anderson Aldrich, walked into the club and opened fire. 5 people were killed, 17 people hurt. Denver 7's Rob Harris was in court today. Rob, walk us through what happened.
Jessica, I gotta say, it was more emotional than I can even really put into words. There were so many victims and victim family members who came out for this hearing who at times were breaking down crying during the plea and sentencing hearings. And there were so many that they actually had to extend past the courtroom into an overflow room where I was and where other victims and victim loved ones were watching the proceedings on a screen in front of them. Many of the victims spoke in front of the judge, asking him to hand down the strictest possible sentence and make sure that the shooter is never free again in their life. And that is the result of the sentence that was handed down today. The shooter pleaded guilty to 5 counts of first-degree murder and 46 counts of first-degree attempted murder. Together, those result in 5 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, and 46 consecutive sentences for 48 years. That adds up to more than 2,200 years in prison for this attack.
That is the longest sentence ever achieved in the 4th Judicial District, and the second, to my knowledge, longest sentence ever achieved in the state of Colorado. This plea also means that there are no potentials for appeal. It means that these victims don't get drugged through the judicial process years down the road. It means no prolonged court process that would have prevented the victims and their family members from starting that healing process.
Now, the shooter also faced 2 counts of biased motivated crimes, to which they pleaded no contest. The district attorney tells me the no contest plea wouldn't have made a difference from a guilty plea in terms of the sentence, but he did call the shooter cowardly for their comments about their responsibility in this attack. And several of the victims said that they felt it was cowardly for the shooter to not address the victims themselves, but instead apologize to the victims through their attorney. Jessica.
Thank you, Rob. Let's go now to Denver 7's Colette Bordelong. She continues our team coverage. Colette, you've been talking to survivors as well as victims' families.
Jessica, I have to say an apology just does not cut it in a case like this. So many victims, countless. When you think about the people who have been impacted, the loved ones of those 5 people killed and the more than a dozen injured, the ripple effect this has had on the Colorado Springs community, really, there just aren't words for. Now, at another press conference where victims were speaking, one of them, Ashton Gamblin, I've spoken with her a handful of times. She was shot 9 times, and she just does not believe that that apology means absolutely anything.
I think that's a little crap. I had a conversation with him when he walked into the bar that night. I was nice as can be, made jokes, smiled, laughed, and like an hour later, I was getting shot by him with no regard for my life, nor Daniel's.
Now, you may have heard of Daniel Aston. Of course you've heard of Daniel Aston. He was one of the 5 people killed that night. One of the last conversations he had was with Ashton Gamblin. Now, Daniel Aston is a trans man who lost his life that night. His parents also speaking out today.
He was just the kind of person that would just light up a room when he went into it. And he had charisma, he was kind, he loved everybody. If that monster would have known him, there was no way that he could have killed him, because Daniel was just as sweet as anybody could ever be.
That is all I've ever heard about Daniel, just the kindest, sweetest soul. But his parents did say Daniel would not have wanted the death penalty to be an option in this case. However, they wish it was still a possibility in Colorado. Live in the Springs, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
You hear the loss and you hear the hurt from the families. It's understandable. Thank you, Colette. Survivors and loved ones continue looking forward and showing their resilience. One way is the permanent memorial to be built here at Club Q to remember and honor the victims. The club unveiled these renderings of what the owners hope the memorial will look like. It'll have a mural with the names and photos of the 5 victims. Their names will also be on a 12-foot pillar that will surround the flagpole. 17 boulders will surround those pillars, honoring the 17 people hurt in the shooting. Club Q has been closed since the shooting. The club plans to reopen sometime in the fall. Some of the Club Q survivors were honored as grand marshals at Denver's Pride Parade yesterday. People we talked to say it's important to not forget what happened.
The Club Q shooting was so close to home, and it's not only about us, it's about those that we lost, so we want to honor them as well and keep their memory alive. So that's pretty much what Pride is about, and that's pretty much what they did today, celebrated those that we lost.
And they will continue to be celebrated and remembered for the impact that they had on the people that they loved. And
a lot of hurt and hopefully some healing happening. All right, Jessica, thank you so much.